Hello, my name's Alice. I'm the architect. I'm very honoured actually to be asked to talk. I mean, it's worth kind of saying that that doesn't happen very often, to be honest with you. But it's also worth, I think, saying that these type of opening ceremonies don't happen very often in buildings. And I think that that says something about the trust and the nature of the trust and the ethos of the trust and the point of the trust is it's about kind of creating that culture within the schools and the congregations and marking it and recording it. And I think that relates to the very careful way that Brian and Eilish briefed us at the beginning of the process. We were told a lot about how the trust works, a lot about the ethos, a lot about the culture and how things work. And what we tried to do when we designed the building is to try and kind of make, I suppose, physical or real some parts of that ethos and culture. And so I'm not going to go on too long, but I might point out just a few little things about the building that maybe relate to what we understood as the culture or the ethos of Chéile. So, I mean, one thing was that it needed to be a new home. I mean, I think Eilish referred to the fact that you're a little bit nomadic up to this point, and the whole point of this building is to be a home and to feel like a home, a place which people, different groups of people can gather under. And so that's why the building maybe looks a little bit house-like. You know, it's got that kind of feeling to it. We've used some materials that makes it feel almost domestic, that people feel like they're in that kind of relaxed space. We've also, I mean, I think as well with the Chéile Schools Trust, there's a due function almost. There's the kind of robust and pragmatic things that they do for schools, that kind of everyday stuff. And then there's that other kind of maybe spiritual role, which is about the kind of guarding of the ethos or shaping the ethos, the Catholic ethos of schools. So when we were thinking about the inside of the building, you can see when you go inside that the sort of on the walls, lower down on the walls is exposed concrete block, and it's exactly the same block work that is used in schools. And so that's kind of robust, pragmatic, and links back to those everyday functions. But then above that, at a certain height, it's white and smooth, and we've been careful with where roof lights and windows are so that that ceiling lights up, and it also tracks the movement of the day as the sun moves around. So that is maybe related to that more spiritual side of the Chéile Trust. And so that somehow the uses of the building sit between those two things, the kind of pragmatic day-to-day and then that higher, I suppose, connection. We also, obviously, I think it was Therese mentioned in her prayer there about the sustainability. And obviously, that idea of kind of nourishing future generations. And so the building itself is what's called an NZ building, so it's nearly zero energy building, so it should take very little energy to run. We generate electricity on the roof, very high levels of insulation, so it should use very little. Although despite the fact that all the external lights are still on, we're trying to fix that. It's a slight kink. And also, I mean, we have other things like this. Over the entrances, you'll only see gutters in these parts. So everywhere else, the rain falls on the roof and then falls directly off it into the gardens that we've put underneath. And then those gardens are felt as kind of, the offices look out over the wildflowers and the meeting room looks out of the boardroom. Boardroom is maybe more contemplative and the wildflower is more connecting to the wider landscape. So, I mean, I'm going to finish up there. I could bore you all day. What I'm really glad to see is lots of people sitting on the bench outside the wall. It's the first time I've seen it used, so I'm delighted with that. But, I mean, it's worth saying that certainly myself and Cian have managed to have a 6-year-old in the time that we have been involved with Chéile. It's been a similarly rewarding process for both the building and the child. And but it's been very good. As Eilish has kind of talked about the bumps in the road, but that's the same for every project, you know. And it's worth saying that, yeah, I'd reiterate what Eilish has said about Eamon Costello's. I mean, especially when it came to costs, the budget was tight on this, and at all stages, they sort of really took a great view on kind of really working with us to get it done and to make sure that we're not kind of overspending or over budget. And also, but to also give a really robust and quality finish, which is what you need for a trust like this. And it's something that communicates back to maybe into the school building program, that you can have modest budgets, but, you know, create a quality finish or a long-lasting finish. And the only last thing to say is that, you know, hopefully this will be here for another 100 years, and we hope that you really enjoy the use of the building. Thank you very much.